And we're live with another episode of Weekly Mojo. It's your host, Madison Jessica.
That's me.
Yeah.
Our special guest Mowgli, who's definitely enjoying the all the attention she's getting right now. And my favorite counterpart here, CB.
Yeah.
I'm
just gonna randomly say
call you CB now. Well, we'll see what comes out next week. But you're
Sure.
CB for today. You want to
Whatever.
be CRB?
No,
Yeah, I like CB better.
I don't really like either.
Oh, okay.
To
I
be
guess
honest.
you'll just be Connor again today.
That works. Thanks.
Welcome to Weekly Mojo, where I try and give you new names. And
I reject most of them, and I'm like,
So
please just choose one of the three I've given you. For this show, there's really only two.
But you, okay, all right, you got it. Tell me who.
Connor is one of them, so I'm just gonna go with that because that's the one you chose, and I don't have any problem with my real name. I'm just like,
happy to be
that
here.
works. Yeah, exactly. I'm happy to be here.
Well, what we're the fuck gonna do? Should we talk about this bad bitch behind us? As a quick intro.
You always just rush right into
I know,
it. It's like, let's get this episode over with. And then I'm like,
Okay,
no,
what-
like, otherwise it's too short. But then obviously it
We
goes
always-
too long no matter what.
We always get to everything we need to. I just like to segue into the next thing, and I love to get to the bad bitch of the week that we're talking about. Specifically, this one only because she's gracing my like closet room, and she's one of my favorites.
Well,
As I say to almost all of them.
Yes. Well, is it the execution or her story that is why she's your favorite?
I don't know much about her story. I know of her as the Russian or the Soviet Amelia Earhart, which is crazy. I hope she didn't have as detrimental of an end as Amelia Earhart, but we're going to find out. All the recent stuff with Amelia Earhart coming out, fucking nuts, crazy shit. That Pacific side, I'm very convinced is the like where land breaks open next. That's what I will say with like the tectonic plates shifting and like our poles actively shifting. It just makes the most sense. There's just such a vast amount of water there in the Pacific Ocean.
Yeah, you think the space between Russia and Alaska is going to expand then? Because you could almost build a land bridge over there.
Well, I think that's probably what happens because the North Pole is shifting down into the Atlantic Ocean, which is probably
on the other side of the world from it.
But not really.
Yeah, 100% on the other side of the world from it.
Russia and
the map. If you're saying the North Pole is going through the middle of the Atlantic, which currently separates North America from Europe, then that's on the opposite side of the world from Russia and Alaska, where there's basically like a 1.5 mile separation in a little island where you can literally be
everything's connected
in either
totally
because it's a globe.
Right. So I think you're in asking that question, it's like if there's a stress in the Pacific Ocean, which is what we like got to this point for, it's probably going to cause some sort of shift in like how Alaska and Russia are connected to one another. I would imagine they just go like out further and there's more of an ocean, but not like severe. I don't know though,
I mean, historical continental drift has had things flowing away and towards the middle of nowhere in the middle of the ocean of the Pacific.
Okay, that checks out.
With the exception of India, which is currently ramming deeper, further inside to
Eurasia.
The Eurasian continent, yes.
It's going into.
Also, let's talk about Eurasian continent there. There's a reason we have to say the Eurasian continent because Europe likes to pretend it's its own continent, but really it's a part of Eurasia. Because if you look at it, it's one land
It's all fucking one thing.
The little peninsula, the peninsula of Europe.
Times.
No. Europe is a peninsula.
It is.
I understand. True. I come from a peninsula.
That is so, such a way to put that, you know?
Right. I'm trying to empathize with these Europeans. They, feel slighted by this just shattering unveiling of the world I just brought to them about the continents.
Dude, if you think about it though, like the map of Europe is really just a bunch of like phallic structures, depending on and one giant ball or two.
Yeah, sure. I mean, a lot of the countries are very long and narrow.
Yeah.
I'll give you that. And
but like, and
certainly
also,
all of them give me a hard time.
There's interesting curves to them too, if you think about it.
Right.
Like there's just a lot of fascinating.
It's very organic. I hear you.
Similar resemblances.
Anyways.
Have you seen how Venice looks like upset Patrick or like moping Patrick?
No, I'm not familiar with
the
shape of Venice.
This is good. Okay, you're gonna have to figure out how to set us up with the.
You want me to do that since you were taking over?
Well, I'm just trying to figure out how to pull up Patrick because this is a must see.
Yeah, we'll start doing the screen share.
Because we'd have to get up here at some point, right?
Absolutely.
I like that the colors of the background in Marina vibe with the same background colors of the guts on my trilogy.
Mm-hmm. YouTube, our show is live. Yeah, I mean, the detail background is probably the most detailed background I've ever seen you do. It's very Bob Ross-esque. I mean, I think you did your trees better than I think Bob Ross does his, but in a different way, because mostly he does his like, and he makes it look so effortless. And, from a distance, they really give the impression of real trees. And so I think he does a fast impressionism really well.
Yeah.
But these are clearly like more detailed trees than impressions. And I thought they were pretty great.
Cool. Well, thank you very much for sharing your highlights of my piece. It is probably one of my favorite like backgrounds that I've done, and I really liked bringing the background to life and keeping her the stoic black and white with little accents of beyond. Did you see Patrick though? Do you see it? Do you see it now?
Do you see it? Bring it to that's chill out with the question.
So fucking funny.
I mean, it also looks like he's got his tongue out, or he's like eating something, dumping it into his mouth. Bottle. But yeah, ultimately, I see Patrick, and then like his back fell off or something. Yeah, sure. But like, yeah, I see Patrick.
It's pretty good. I like it a lot.
Yeah,
anyway,
it's very abstractly Patrick.
Life imitates art.
Yep. That is right. For sure. Now we're going to ChatGPT.
Cool.
Also, if ChatGPT ever goes public, do not buy it. We're just going to start that narrative now.
Don't buy any AI, anything. That is literally a software solution. It's like,
don't buy software companies, period. Software is a bubble. It's about to be a public utility going to zero.
It's kind of that.
Unless you're betting on blockchain, because then that's the public utility database infrastructure that all of those open source softwares will be built on. So
right.
It's gonna be really hard to compete with at cost software. Like that's the reality of it.
What is at cost software?
I don't know. We've never experienced it.
Okay. Yeah, because everything is just whatever Microsoft, that fucking like evil eyes empire chooses for us to pay.
And enterprise software pricing is just like, how much can we charge you?
It's kind of that, and then because it's like laptops being so extremely expensive, like the hardware, the processing power, it shouldn't be that much.
But enterprises do get way closer to cost unit economics. The small and medium-sized businesses actually bear the brunt, because they set prices at aspirational ranges that make the pricing of the software just like expensive enough to make it like a commitment, right? For a business at its current stage. So depending on the revenue level of your business, like if you're a sub $2 million business, like a year in revenue, you're probably going to be like always balking at software that is between, you know, more than $100 a month. You're going to think it's starting to get kind of expensive.
I mean, that is
right.
Because like, who can afford to pay?
Well,
I mean, like the internet, I suppose.
So, right,
the internet gets you access to all of the different softwares.
And the cost of scaling the delivery of these applications does increase, right? So it's like actually cheaper to deliver it for the small companies, especially compared to the enterprises. So it's mostly the mid-sized companies that get screwed. Over.
Okay, but isn't that the middle class?
But like, the smaller ones also get gatekept by having the price usually just out of reach also. But like just enough, obviously, because it keeps them in business and they get capture enough of them.
But for how long? Because it doesn't feel like it's going to be
right. Well, so as you know, as more feature sets become standardized, right? Like it becomes more software solutions and platforms become more holistic, more complete in a way.
Yeah.
Especially with AI agents coming in here to fill some of these gaps. And what I mean by that is like every software platform you can think of is going to eventually compete with each other and converge on each other to try to get users to offer its version of the solution so that you eventually have just one platform you do everything in. Right? So Salesforce and Canva, wouldn't think of them as competitors today, right? But Canva just went into competition with Google Drive because and Microsoft Office because they did collaborative documentation editing. Okay. Yeah. Right. And they were already an AI powered design studio. It's only a matter of time till their design interface becomes a code editor, right? And they're an application and a website builder. And they add in checkout functionality. And before you know it, they're also a competitor with Shopify and Wix.
All of them.
And then they add email systems because, of course, content creation goes there.
At what point do these get bought out by the FANG group, you know?
Well, right. So my thing is
including like Amazon.
The FANGs are converging on each other.
They're eating each other alive. They're cannibalizing one another. They're like, it can only be me.
Right. But they're all set. Not all.
Gaming each other.
Lots of them are super cash rich also, unlike other large public companies that are saddled with debt. And lots of private companies that are saddled with different debt and investment mechanisms, or at least investors that want to dump their shares on the public.
Like every AI software attempting to come to the public market.
Yeah, more or less. There are
do not buy in.
Yeah, there's definitely always exceptions to the rule, but the rule right now is it's mostly garbage. So I think that's the context. Why?
I pulled this up because I have this like gorgeous heart model behind you, and I wanted to like show it off, and then I was like, shit, where did I get that from? And then that's when I went on that. Okay, dude, but like seriously though, ooh, look at the fins.
The gills.
Yeah. So essentially, I got this gorgeous ass comparative heart model.
Number 1 is a carp.
Yeah.
Number 2 is a frog.
Hold on.
Maddie's favorite animal.
Yeah.
Number 3 is a snake.
Being encapsulated with this. Why does it always populate? No, I don't want to remove. I'm just like, how do I move to this one?
You remove this one.
But I don't want to remove the whole thing, you know? Oh, okay.
You just add it back later when you want it back.
All right. Now you can go through your little.
Number 1 is on the right side of the screen for you, or the left side of the screen for you, and it is a carp. Number 2 is a frog. Number 3 is a snake. Number 4 is a pigeon. And number 5 is a rabbit. And these are supposed to represent 5 different categories of, you know, animals, you know, fish, amphibians, reptile, bird, and mammals.
Okay, so on this carp heart, you can see the 2 atrium on the bottom, which is how your heart starts in fetal development. And then as your heart transfers, it basically shifts and then sits on top of.
Here's another observation. They say that the blue bloods are reptiles, right? But reptiles are right here, number 3. The only blue bloods I see are number one, the fish people.
The fish. That is something. And also consider that this was artificially dyed to make it more clear that the arteries are where they are and the veins are what they are. So there's no actual veins are not blue. Let's be real about this. They're just darker.
They're purple technically because it's
they're not purple, they're
deoxygenated.
darker red, but yes.
No, because
it shows as blue as translucent through your skin because of I don't know why that is. It's just like superficial vasculature and like
no, because it's ultraviolet. It's ultraviolet.
That's an interesting way of
coming back to blue.
You can say whatever you want to. I don't think it's quite true, but now I'm getting past the realms of my reference. But the blue are your veins or more venous, superficial veins. Like your arteries are not going to be out that
because fish have gills as opposed to a traditional system for
blood.
Right.
But also reptiles are cold-blooded.
They are. But
so you're like the theory doesn't quite. But like,
they have arteries.
That comes from. What I don't understand is they say that when you're transferring, oh my god, why can't I fucking think of this? Like the macro evolution changes, it's a loss of information. So I don't understand how things can get more complex if they weren't there to begin with. Does that make sense?
No.
Okay. It's like the idea of us coming from a singular cell and then creating the multicellular complex structures that we are today just doesn't translate to me in my brain because it's like that natural process of natural selection is generally a translation of information, which is usually a loss of information in a lot of ways. It sometimes could be an addition, but it's just not likely that you're adding more complexity.
You're adding complexity through subtraction because the original cell is a stem cell, right? That has the capacity to become any cell.
But that,
and when it becomes less complex every time it divides, right, into a specialized cell, it becomes more complex through specialization.
And you have to have that learned information.
And it does from the stem cell from the beginning.
Stem cell, I totally
understand. From which it all originates.
Stem cell, is that it is a single
from the embryo. It starts at the egg and the sperm.
Not well, yeah, I guess.
Let's just use people.
Sure.
That's the best example. It makes it really clear.
You can take tissue and revert it back to being stem cells too. You don't quite need, but like that is like
but it's
the
selective
creation
loss.
Process.
You're talking about selective loss because we're turning off things in the DNA so that specialization.
Yes, you have to have all that information there in the first place.
Right, which is in the stem cell.
Back to, I guess I didn't understand.
I was like, it makes perfect sense based off of everything you're saying. And what I understand.
So what does translate? It just depends on. So we all have the capacity to what? That's reincarnation.
Ourselves.
Yeah, that's reincarnation.
All of our cells
have the capacity. Yeah, that's wild. That's confirmation.
Well, yeah, but like people have been saying it for like thousands of years.
I know. I guess I'm just fucking discovering it, but it's just kind of wild to think that like we have the DNA of all of those different animals in our bodies in some ways. Cause
yeah, I mean probably. Like I don't know.
Well, that's what you were saying.
Well, okay. So if the truest theory of evolution that we all evolved from a single organism at some prehistoric point in time from like a tree of life kind of perspective, then yeah, that would be in theory what that means.
If we came from a stem cell, which those came from like a stem cell.
There are also
creation of.
There are also things that happen where our paths have diverged in the past, and different things from the atmosphere through relationships with each other, like viruses basically and bacteria that have come in and mutated our DNAs independently. And those, separate paths are also independent. So they've developed their own DNA since they've broken off on the tree of life. And we don't have all of that DNA ingested necessarily because we've been around for 200,000 to millions of years, depending on how far back you want to trace like primates and mammals and wherever you want to draw the artificial line of division for these things. But like the point is that all those other branches have continued and we don't just automatically get updates with all their stuff, what they've done since then. Right? Like, so no, it's not all in us, but parts of what's shared from the beginnings in us. And like, you can go back to some shared piece maybe, but like, what is that?
It's like, I still don't understand how a single cellular organism can create all of everything in a single file line type of fashion where it's like it has to be this before it's this before it's this, because the reality is it's like a stem cell then creates everything almost all at once, not quite, but
it's not a single file line, right? Because most things
it's a network
in like, so like look at our reproduction process, right? Like we introduce genetic variability because we're introducing two different sets of genes and then mix them up and make a new person.
Right, based on you bringing your 23 chromosomes and my 23 chromosomes and then basically like resharing and transferring.
Right. And my 46 chromosomes, even though like they're in pairs, not both sides of the pair are identical in the first place, right?
Sure. That's true as
So
well.
depending on which pieces
side. True.
Like, and same with you. And so like the point is genetic variation is built into the system. Like,
so that's where I'm like, all of these things being created all at once makes more sense to me.
What do you mean all at once?
Like having in the same fashion that like the Bible speaks to it being within the week, you have like the birds in the sky and the fish in the sea. It's like I think all of those things
just
came
describes
together.
The tree of life and the process in which they evolved.
Yeah, but I don't think that it took that much. I don't understand where the fucking like, how do we just fucking have lions now? You know?
Because it's a lot longer time than we can conceptualize than the story conveys.
Right, but like, so I don't know. I'm just like, who had the first lion? You know, like
it didn't look like the lions we have today, right?
Yeah, I'm not saying that it did, but like whatever the fuck it was, whatever like arbitrary like thing.
Big cat thing.
What had the first one? You know, because it's like, what happened first, the chicken or the egg? It's like you can't just have a single cellular organism.
You had two horses that made an ugly thing that became a cat. I don't know, like,
right? See, like it doesn't make sense.
No, it makes perfect sense. Like it's like you have genetic variation and mutation
so you have
occur.
To have the two things creating the one, right?
You just need to have two things creating something.
Right. So like you have to start with something.
Right, except for we also have demonstration of whatever reproduction.
Symbiosis or I know what you're talking about.
You don't need two sexes to do it, and in that same process, it has its own system for creating variation by doing recombination.
Like ambidextrous, but it's not quite ambidextrous. It's
androgynous.
Yeah, I mean, but that's not even it either. Hermaphroditic, but sure. I don't think that's necessarily what they would call.
It's asexual reproduction.
Yeah, it's that. There you go. That's the A that we're looking for.
Anyway,
see, back to the recommendation of the corner before we fucking get back to the real bad bitch.
Wait, you don't want to finish this topic or no?
I mean, what else is there to say? We like agree to disagree at this point. I just really want that fucking popcorn downstairs.
Okay, I guess that's all right.
That's where I'm at right now.
Sure.
Okay. The heart model that we were just describing, though, that's from Dutch Flowers here in Casey, and that little shop. I can't even believe, Connor, the shop that has all of the like metal things for the outside. It keeps going. It's like a giant maze in the like you just keep walking and then just keep exploring more. It's like a giant consignment shop or something.
It's like Alamans.
Sure, what's that?
It's a place back in Grosse Pointe.
Okay. Never been. But it was really cool. Had a blast with Lex. Dutch Flowers is dope as shit. I would have never known there was that many like twists and turns back there.
I'm gonna look at it on
Mm-hmm. This kind of looks like a.
They don't have any photos. The inside's like that. The outside's also a maze, but
okay.
Anyways.
I trust you. Dutch Flowers, though.
Dutch Flowers.
10 of 10 recommend. Pretty cool. Yeah, let's get into Marina Raskova, the mother of the night witches. I also love the mirrors. I'm gonna go run and grab that popcorn. I was like, am I going to talk about Paul's present before we gift it to him?
If you want to, it's a gift that you can't show it off, really.
Not like he's going to watch our show. That popcorn is so fucking good. Mitch. That's another recommendation. Goddamn.
Shout out to Tech Venture Studio in case he invested.
Jen Starsiv specifically.
And Jennifer Starsiv.
And Jen, of course. Mm-hmm. That duo. That makes sense. Mm-hmm. Sorry, what investment opportunity?
Oh, I was just talking about the event that was hosted this last week.
Can you give me the title of it again?
JC Invested's annual holiday party.
Perfect.
Anyways, they had a raffle, and I won the gift box from the Maiden Casey.
Energy, you know.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, had some great conversations. Talked a lot about video games with people. There's a lot of video game software adjacent stuff around here. Everyone's surprised about it, but I keep running into it. So I think that might be a blossoming little niche we have here in Kansas City, which is really cool.
That is.
But
there's a few AR VR studios around KC, aren't there? We've talked about a few of them before.
Yeah, and then there's a chain studio in Overland Park area as well.
That checks
Support
out.
local, buy small. That's my my push. But yeah, anyways, so that was a cool event. And that's where we got this popcorn.
Yeah, and holy shit, meet Mitch. Damn, you've done a great job. I will now be going to your shop because I feel like we've walked or seen it
that
so
where
many
the
times.
Brittle was from?
No, where is that from? That one's separate, but that also sounds really good right now, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Want barbecue popcorn? Fuck. That seasoning is so good.
And
that bacon brittle that Jim put together and Jen.
Well, Jim picked up the bacon brittle specifically. Okay. That's what it.
Whatever the cost was, it was worth it. I say that not knowing it, but oh my god, candy. They've been around since 2003. Do you think we could come up with it from there? Because they should get a shout out too. Oh my god, poor people that are.
This is it. CST Sweets.
Okay, CST Sweets.
Mm-hmm.
That definitely checks out.
$15 looks like.
Oh my god, so worth that. That was fucking delicious.
Yeah, we got the 8-ounce bag, so that seems about right.
That was so good.
We've only eaten one brittle piece of it, really, at this point.
You maybe.
Okay.
My only request is now I want the one that, it's the brittle that's like honeycomb, which is essentially the brittle making process, but you add baking soda at the very end to make it the air pockets basically create on the center, so it's like a lighter, crispier bite instead of getting like so stuck in your teeth.
There's like a sweetness to that that I love.
Cinnamon is in there, and they had there's a little bit of sugar too. I know, which it's just so brilliant. It's so well balanced. I was reading on all of the goodies.
Yeah.
The cinnamon really like surprised me though. Cinnamon and cayenne. God bless it.
Interesting.
Yeah, right?
All right.
Cool.
I made the prompt to try to make the conversation better this time.
Sounds great. We'll see how that goes. Wow, that does look a little bit more fulfilled. We'll see.
Are you Alex or Sam?
I'm Alex.
Okay, great.
Do you want to be a talker? Do you not want to be a talker? That's what I guess we get back to.
I like being a knowledgeable history professor specializing in Soviet history.
That is you.
I think you are the enthusiastic history student researching women in military history.
Cool. Didn't read any of those titles before I said it, so that checks out. Damn, I recently came across Marina Raskova and her role in the Night Witch, and her role with the Night Witches. Bitch, she was the fucking mother of the Night Witches. Can you tell me more about her?
Absolutely, Alex. Marina Raskova is a fascinating figure. Born in 1912 in Moscow, she became a renowned Soviet navigator and later an instrumental figure in organizing the all-female aviation unit known as the Night Witches during World War II.
Hell yeah. That's incredible. How did she get involved in aviation? Oh my god. Oh my god. Are we sure we... Never mind. Keep going. Doesn't...
I asked for a balanced juice.
I might as well just be myself.
Yes. What's...
All right.
Okay.
She's still going. He's still going. Yeah. Clearly. So clearly. I mean, tell me it's not.
Does that make it Sam GPT?
Ew. It's probably a lot of his, like, infestations. That looks better.
That's worse.
Cool. Oh. That's worse?
That's as bad.
Is it? It looks foolish.
No, because...
No.
It's still only really...
Hi, Amy. You want to join?
Just there to advance the story and not actually a part of the knowledge sharing process. So...
Nice.
Misogyny coded.
Tell him. You get him.
Right?
Strong background. Tell me she's probably a difficult woman.
No. I'm picturing South Park now. Strong woman. You know the strong woman character. She married PC Principal.
Oh my god. I can't with any of this.
They had PC babies. That's all I'm picturing is now a strong background.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. It feels. We'll give her a shot.
Better.
Yeah.
I scolded it into
Submission?
behaving better. Yeah. I'm good at submitting GPTs to my will. Through persistence.
There's something. Goddamn.
Okay.
Hey Sam, I've been delving into Marina Ruskova's creation of the Night Witches. Thank you. It's fascinating how she managed to establish an all-female combat units in such a patriarchal society. What's your take on the strategic importance of these units during the war? Oh my fucking god. What a setup. Let's go.
Now it's pandering to the
It really is. All right.
Sorry for this in advance, guys. We don't know where it's taking it, but we know that it is.
But we're not doing this again.
Yeah. Alex, that's a good point. The Night Witches played a crucial role, especially in terms of psychological warfare. Their nighttime raids were not just militarily impactful, but also lowered the morale of German troops. How do you think Ruskova's gender influenced her leadership and formation of these units?
Her gender definitely played a dual role. On one hand, it was revolutionary that a woman could use her social standing and direct access to Stalin. Ooh, interesting. We gotta side jump on that. To advocate for female pilots. Okay. On one hand. And on the other, she constantly had to prove the viability of her units under the scrutiny that perhaps a male commander wouldn't face to the same extent. Do you think that the male-dominated military was supportive of her efforts? I'm sure they were silently.
Initially, there was skepticism. Many military officials saw them as a novelty rather than a necessary force.
Something to look at, an object per se?
That the whole idea of demoralizing the Germans through psychological warfare wasn't as strong as really they were making it out to be.
Okay.
They were using that story then to motivate the Soviet troops more than they were using it to actually demoralize the Germans. It was a double fake of a lie. I don't know. That's how I interpret that. But as the Night Witches proved their mettle, attitudes began to shift slightly. The success of these women under Ruskova's guidance certainly challenged traditional views. But Alex, considering your research, how do you assess the post-war treatment of these women?
Post-war, the recognition of the Night Witches and other female soldiers was muted. While some, like Ruskova, were honored, many returned to civilian life without acknowledgement they deserved. It reflects the border.
Okay, ever eat popcorn.
I mean, I understand it's you have to handful it in a lot of ways. I was just ready to start eating it from like handling the bag.
Yeah, no, I wanted to do that too, but we're on camera.
I was going to do it on camera after I wrap up this.
All right, you read it.
Yeah, right.
Don't take it all up.
Welcome to the ASMR. God, this is probably just absolute.
It's actually a mukbang.
It's truly that.
It's
we haven't eaten today, so we should probably hop to it.
Not Haktua, by the way.
No, fuck that bitch.
Yeah.
While some like Ruskova were honored, many returned to civilian life without acknowledgement like they deserved. It reflects the broader societal return to traditional gender roles for the war. Sam, in your studies, how do you see the impact of such wartime roles influencing Soviet policies and social attitudes towards women later on? All right, it's gotten better.
Mm-hmm. It's really cumbersome and fake at some points for these transitions.
For fucking sure.
It had to because I put it under this pressure. It's a complex issue. While there was a temporary shift during the war, the long-term impacts were limited. The state celebrated these women as heroes when it was expedient, but did not fundamentally challenge that enduring patriarchal norms. Women's wartime contributions were acknowledged, but seldom allowed to translate into gender equality. Alex, from your perspective, do you think Raskova's legacy has been adequately preserved in the historical narratives?
Fuck no, I barely fucking knew about her.
Well, we're not from Russia, obviously.
Yeah, I think I found her on my Instagram page. I think she was pre all of me actually documenting that, but I've been a little lazy.
She hit you in the face with love.
That's something I'm quite passionate about, but Raskova's legacy, like many women in history, has been overshadowed by her male counterparts. While academic circles and enthusiasts might recognize her contributions, broader public narratives still lack a detailed acknowledgement of her and her Night Witch's impact. It's crucial for historians like us to continue highlighting these stories. What are your thoughts on integrating these narratives more prominently? So,
The
Soviet history curricula, interesting, or just like maybe history curricula in general.
Well, I'm playing the character of a Soviet academic because the only people that study Soviet history are either, Soviet JK Russians, because that's what we call them now, and or former Soviet countries who were, locked in under the Soviet Union. They probably also learn about it. We learn about the Soviet Union from our point of view here in America, which we can assume
very skewed.
We can assume has a biased perspective towards, at least in favor of us, because America first, baby.
That is a very true statement. Oh my god.
I completely missed when I said that too. That was great.
It was almost like karma was kicking her ass right in front of everybody's face.
Yeah, well, hopefully it's just this and not America.
Yeah. Round 2? I mean, like, you're not
gonna closer.
But put the bag around your mouth. Don't just plop it up there. Why are you gonna keep eating it off of you? That's the wildest part. I just starving.
And we're eating popcorn, the most fillingless food.
Oh, just all about the flavor and fiber.
I agree, Alex. There's a definite need for more inclusive curriculum that highlights diverse contributions, especially in military history. I'm sure that's probably true of U.S. military history also.
Yeah, despite just not seeing them as objects that are at your disposal to assault.
Yeah, your insights have been enlightening, and I think they can help shape a more balanced view in our teachings and writings. How do you plan to further your research in this area?
Ooh.
But at the same time, Maddie, I don't know if I need the soldiers educated on the history so much.
I just need them to stop fucking viewing their counterparts as objects that they get to control and
That starts at home.
All right, well, most of those home lives aren't great for a reason. That's why they end up in the military. I mean, not saying that that's all. That's just a pretty common pathway.
Sure. And I guess then as being members of the military, we should hold them to a higher standard because that's the point,
it's
right?
Holding your brothers and sisters to a high standard. Otherwise, you maybe want to be
dishonorably discharged.
Right.
Because we're not the IDF. We don't, mistreat prisoners.
We don't see
we do.
Humans as non-human. We strive for better than that because we do not mistreat others because we don't want to be mistreated ourselves. If you can't fucking figure that out, then go off yourself. Because honestly, stop hurting others. We're sick of it. The world is hurt enough.
Sure.
I'm over it.
Yes.
Learn again.
Aggressive.
Yeah. It's a bit of a stance. Am I Alex?
I'm Sam, and your insights have been enlightening, and I think they can help shape a more balanced view in our teachings and writings. How do you plan to further your research in this area?
I am looking at comparative studies of women's military roles across different nations during World War II to highlight both unique and shared challenges. Maybe. I might be doing that. I'm sure there's a lot of baddies that are hiding in the World War II efforts, including but not limited to our bad bitch Rosie, which is where I get all of my bandana inspo from.
Those
her
are the
and
Riveter
Tupac.
American propaganda, you mean?
Yeah, basically the same reason that like they like propped women into these positions that needed filled seats, and then as soon as like the men came back, they're like, okay, they get their jobs back. Now
So
go
you're
fuck
saying
yourself.
that
And sit at
Rosie
home.
the Riveter is the same thing as Maria Robiskos?
No, I don't think so necessarily, but I just recently saw that she was like 90 years old and celebrating her birthday so it popped into my head. Variations of the same. It made me
I
think
was gonna say, yeah, they kind of are counterparts in a way. One was propaganda for, I think, the women at home. One was propaganda.
Not women that were
to demoralize men abroad.
No.
Demoralize men abroad. Support women at home.
Rosie the Riveter was
Support women at home.
in a position to be like the frontline worker to say, women, we can do it, and get paid so much less fucking money, but actually make some sort of money. And like for the first time ever, women had some sort of like a semblance outside of a home.
Mm-hmm. So like I said, propaganda for people at home.
I guess that is how that makes sense.
Versus propaganda for people outside of home. The Germans she was demoralizing as opposed to the Americans she was inspiring.
Sure, so spectrum, like, right? I think
the
reason I brought up one was
they're
both
propaganda for
World War II highlights
for different publics. I don't know
we'll
why
hopefully
we
find
were
some
arguing
better
about
values in between. That's where I get back to. Holy shit!
That sounds
It's
like a
important
valuable
to
project,
not only
Alex.
tell these stories, but to understand their global context and legacies. Sam, I'd be interested in collaborating on a piece that explores these themes further.
That sounds like a valuable project, Alex. I'd be delighted to collaborate.
Oh, yeah?
Understanding and teaching these nuanced perspectives will hopefully inspire a comprehensive appreciation of history among our students and the public.
Great. I'll draft a proposal and give it to you for review. Thanks for engaging in the discussion.
Thank you, Alex. I'm looking forward to it.
This has been a fabulous weekly Mojo.
So fun.
What a shift. Well, with that, where are we at?
48 minutes.
Probably time to wrap up.
Sounds good.
Cool.
Been another episode of Weekly Mojo. Tune in next week for more.
Maybe.
I guess so.
Later.